He tells his viewers he's going to keep things simple tonight. No cuts, no edits, no B-roll, he says, voice bright and bravado thin, the kind of confidence that frays when the wind touches it. The thumbnail he designed an hour ago shows him grinning with a flashlight under his chin and the caption, "Live from the Ashcroft Place." His name is River on the channel, 22, dual cameras, a lapel mic scabbed to a thrifted denim jacket, phone balanced on a gimbal like a gull over black water. The chat swarms the screen. Where is this? Don't go alone. Dude, bring salt? Can we get a house tour? Show basement first, LOL. He smiles for them like they're a single face. All right, we're at the corner of Danner and 3rd. Nobody lives here, not since well, you know the story. He angles to the facade. The house is only 2 windows and a door at first glance. A dull arrangement of rectangles. The kind of place you pass twice before realizing it's watching you back. Plywood covers the lower panes. The second-floor glass reflects a smear of streetlight and a low orange moon. The place is not long abandoned, just unlived in. A difference the house understands. River taps the door with the flat of his hand. The chat laughs at the hollow sound. Inside, the smell of laminate peeling off itself, of damp wood trying to remember being a tree. The entrance hall swallows his hello. He narrates automatically. Left is the parlor, right is the stairs, straight ahead a narrower hall, like a throat. He tells stories the house has heard before. Family moved out after a winter of sickness. Attic full of reel-to-reel tape. A rumor about a pirate radio station that once broadcast from within and made people hear their names in the white noise. Urban legends are just viral content with worse SEO, he jokes, and something deep in the drywall adjusts itself to receive him. The stream score ticks upward. New viewers announce themselves with hearts and shark emojis. River passes from the hall into a room that used to be important to someone. There are picture hooks with no frames. A crate of glass slides sits mid-floor, their labels leaked away by decades of damp. Easter, first day, lake. All the words undone to beige threads. He holds one against his phone's light for effect, and the chat fills with freeze the frame. What was that behind you? He knows the choreography. Turns slowly, lamp beneath chin, let the lens pull his pupils to black coins. Okay, where's my behind you crew? Timestamp it. Tell me what you saw. The house makes a sound like a cough in another room, not a footstep exactly. More like a breath taken by a space that usually holds its breath. We've got movement, River says, as if he's the one who did. He narrates the stairs because the stairs need narrating. Knowing you are on them is how you stay on them. The treads are gray with ground-in stories. There's a blank in the murk where a runner used to lie. River keeps his weight close to the wall, as if the rail might tolerate him better. The chat keeps pace. A mod called Name Brand Nora drops a donation with a message. If you fall, I'm not calling anyone. The chat laughs, then politely begs him to be careful. He's careful, and he's not. Upstairs, the air is colder, the way the air is always colder, where secrets have been rehearsed. Bedroom left, nursery right, he says, and immediately hears himself, nursery, like the house slipped the word into his mouth. Empty room, I mean. He opens the door on the right. The wallpaper and the way it has failed tell the truth. It was a nursery once. The print is a parade of moons with faces. The faces are smudged from small hands. He pans slowly. The chat keeps asking for the basement. The chat keeps asking to see the window. The chat keeps asking for proof that he's actually alone. He sits the gimbal on the sill and steps back so they can see the entire room with him in it, his spine becoming the straightest thing in the house. "Just me," he says. The house holds the lie in its mouth like a coin. On the far wall, at elbow height, there's a rectangle that isn't part of the wall. He hadn't seen it until he let the camera see it. A door painted over twice, maybe 3 times. Too smooth, to be honest. His hand goes to it. "You all seeing this?" he asks, already pressing. The paint ripples. A membrane remembering being a door. It gives, not to his push, but to the idea of being opened. He forces it, and it sloughs free with a sound like paper tearing out of a throat. Behind it, there's a space that thinks it's a hallway. It cannot possibly fit behind that wall, and yet it does. The geometry apologizes and then refuses to. The chat is full of "don't" and "yes" at once. River drops his voice because the house has dropped its. "We have something." He gives them what they came for. He points his light and steps in. The floor is raw boards. The walls are not walls. They're stacked televisions. Small CRT sets with dials like trimmed fingernails. Sleek flat screens with their brand names pried off. Little battery-powered camping TVs with cracked antennas. They're dead, every last one. Faces blank, light starved. They are arranged like an audience waiting for the play to start. Okay, River says, and laughs because the laugh is the only thing he has that isn't pixel. The mic records him swallowing. The house breathes. He reaches to touch the nearest screen. It turns on, not to static, not to snow, to River's face. 1 second ago, the chat goes frothy. We're in a loop, pre-recorded prank. He's got a delay filter. River, you legend. No, for real. Watch the background. He watches. In the screen showing his face, a sliver of black along the frame becomes a doorway. And in that doorway is light where there shouldn't be light. A shape where there shouldn't be shape. The outline of someone standing almost in his outline. River turns for the speed run behind you bit, but the space behind him is only other televisions, dumb and blind and off. He looks back. The screen is 3 seconds ahead now, his own hand lifting before his hand lifts. Okay, that's... He raises his arm, and the arm on the screen is already lowering. That's a time bug. That's a... His voice slides down a fret as a second television comes on, and a third, and a fourth, and each one shows him from a different angle, angles not available in the room that exists. There is no camera at the place that shot him, leaning to see the ceiling. There is no eye at the level of his feet to watch dust reverse direction when he stops breathing. He looks for hidden rigs, finds only 1,000 zeros inside 1,000 dark panes. The chat tells him to run. The chat tells him to get closer. 2,000 people, 5,000, 10. A teenager in Illinois watching on a phone that will not let her lock the screen even when she tries. A night shift nurse with his earbuds in, glancing, then not glancing away. A man in Glasgow on his television, where the cable program replaced itself with this, because the channel wants to be watched. A woman in a motel who thinks the live stream looks like her childhood home, and then realizes it is. Someone's feeding old footage, River says. Someone's messing. He leans toward a set that shows him walking into the room before he walked into the room. The hall behind him, longer than it should be. He bites his tongue on a word that isn't his. Feeding. What's being fed and to whom? He reaches for a knob, as if there are knobs. In the doorway he tore through the paint. Something moves, not a person. A picture, and the person in the picture arguing about which one is real. He brings the camera up without thinking, which is a kind of thinking. For a second, the live feed shreds. A scarf pulled through thorns. Frames go out of order, then over order. Everyone sees it. The room, then the room with more room inside it, then riverless. A spilled glass version of him, and behind that, the outline of a man wearing a microphone from another year in another building. He says hello to it. It says hello back to him and not to him. That was sick. Do it again, someone types. The mod says, chat, cool it. River says nothing for 4 seconds. He listens. The house returns the favor. And then, like a mouth tasting the word, every screen comes on at once. The sound is not loud. That's the worst of it. There's a gentle thread of white through cheap speakers, like the hiss you hear when you're about to hear your name. River says his name before the house can. River. His breath fogs in the cold that has gotten inside him. It's just River, he says, lowercase, and a small television tucked beneath the elbows of 2 larger ones moves its image half an inch forward on the glass until the face, his face, pushes against its limits. The future is always a face pressing its nose to the window, trying to see you seeing it. Breathe, says the chat. He does. The screens breathe with him. In, out. He counts without meaning to, and the room counts back. He backs out. He tells them, we're going downstairs now. He doesn't want to show the basement anymore. The house does. The corridor tries to lengthen while he's watching, so it shortens instead as if sulking. At the top of the stairs he points down, and the light catches a rug at the foot. A spill. Coffee? Oil? The chat wants to taste. The chat fills with the word red, like a cough repeated across 100 speakers. He laughs it off. It's brown, he lies, and that lie has a weight he can carry for only one more step. His foot touches the first tread, second, third, and that's when sound fails. Not because the stream lags, not because of analytics or bit rate, because the house stops spending sound on him. The chat begins typing the way people type when the room has more in it than the room. A cascade of sounds gone, no audio, ASL folks help, lip read. He says, I can't hear you either, and realizes how funny that is. A man telling an audience he can't hear them. He reaches for his lapel mic. He taps it. He hears nothing. In the silence, the camera hears him anyway. In the basement, the dust has gravity. It ascends in ropes when disturbed and falls slowly, like a thought changing its mind. There are shelves along the walls full of empty frames and full jars and names written on tape, peeling off the jars. March, Signal, AM, Us, Room. He pans left and right. The beam finds a table with a tangled nest of coax cable biting its own tail. A wristwatch lies in the center, still ticking, still warm, imprint of a wrist that is either his or going to be. He says nothing. He raises it to the camera. Look-see, good television. And then the light makes a mistake, reveals what he wasn't willing to narrate. There's a television down here too, a bigger one, glass like a windshield. It's off in the dignified way old televisions are off, as if they might forgive you if you did not turn them on again. The power cord goes into the wall, where the wall doesn't want anything in it anymore. He reaches for the button as if there's a world in which he doesn't. His thumb finds the button by the map in his skin. The screen comes awake in gray. That is only gray because there are no words for the specific color a deadeye takes when it decides to look again. On screen, not a reflection of him, not a replay, not the house. It's a room too small for a camera to be in. The view shakes slightly, as if the cameraman is breathing hard. On the floor, in that room, a laptop, blue light freckles. On the laptop, a rectangle streaming a boy on stairs trying to keep his voice from slipping out of reach. The boy is him. The room the camera is in is not the basement, and it is not upstairs, and it is not this house. He knows it because there's a plant in the corner he recognizes, a rubber tree with leaves corroded along the edges because he never learned who watered it before he moved in. He knows it because the carpet is cheap, but not this cheap. He knows it because the camera in the other room turns, and the other room turns with it. And on the wall above the laptop is a poster he bought at a flea market that says, "Be seeing you," which he liked because it was clever, because it changed as soon as you read it. He is looking at his apartment. He is looking at his apartment, looking back at him. The chat sees it too and says nothing at first, and then everything. "Bro, that's your place. Is this a bit? Don't like this, don't like this." "River, answer me right now. Do you live on Maple? Because I see..." The stream buckles under their seeing, then holds. He whispers, or thinks he does. Someone's there. On the big television in his apartment, the camera turns again toward where his bathroom should be, toward the half-open door. A hand appears on the door, pale, the wrong kind of pale. The way a hand looks when the camera wants it more than the body does. The door swings. River lifts his hand like a man stopping traffic. The house pauses to admire him. He pulls the plug out of the wall because he believes in simple cause and simpler effect. The big television keeps playing. The sound returns at the same moment, and it brings another voice with it. Not speech, not quite. More like the sound a crowd makes when it's about to turn into language. He drops the watch. Time turns over. The last few frames of this night are preserved in everyone's memory for different reasons. In some people's recall, River looks brave. In others, too young. In some, the basement grows until it is an outside. In some, the stream ends with a cheerful tone and a circle of buffering, never finishing its circle. In the recording, you can no longer find on the channel River says his own name one more time, as if to fix it in place, and the house says it an instant sooner, like it knew he would. He takes a step toward the television that is showing his empty apartment, and then the feed goes to black. For a few seconds after the blackout, nothing happens. Phones go to the lock screen. Monitors return to home. Families shake their sets like the old trick works, like the house will fall back out into the living room. 4 kids at a sleepover scream with relief and start laughing at their scream. An old man in a recliner says, "It's just a boy with a phone," in a voice that is older than he is. A woman who has fallen asleep with the show on wakes up to her own face in the reflection and almost throws the remote. And then, one by one in the ripple pattern of things that are designed to ripple, unfamiliar footage begins. It starts in private places, because those are the most available. In South Bend, a teenager texting in the dark sees, for 2 seconds, across the top of his keyboard, a hallway he does not know, filmed from the perspective of a person shorter than him, the camera bobbing a little as if excited. In Madrid, A smart fridge screen that is not connected to anything but the store's inventory flashes an image of a set of shelves not stocked by any store. Labels handwritten, salt, salve, save, and a sound in the speaker that is not part of the refrigerator's vocabulary. A breath like a coast. In a motel in Idaho, a television that nobody owns says, for a tremor of a moment, hello in a voice the front desk clerk swears is his mother's. When the footage appears, it is mostly nothing and completely something. A corner of a room you do not live in, a piece of a street you have never walked, the inside of a cupboard where the light does not go. By morning, it isn't just phones and televisions. A car's backup camera shows a driveway in which a bicycle rolls slowly backward by itself, then freezes on an image of a boy holding a camera in front of his face in the reflection of a window that no one had ever looked at before it learned to look at itself. A baby monitor catches a murmur from a stairwell without stairs. It spreads through the things that have screens and then through the things that are secretly screens. A woman sees it for an instant in the glass of her microwave. A kid sees it in the faceplate of a game console. A teacher catches it in a projector and pretends it's a glitch because 33rd graders are watching, and you do not learn new forms of fear in front of 3rd graders. No one can play back what they saw, not completely. When they press record, the footage is different. When they screenshot, their photo albums show only their own hands trying to hold a thing made of holding. But pieces remain. Someone posts a clip of an overcast field with a roofless structure in the distance and a voice that might be Rivers saying, "Don't run," because he learned somewhere that you shouldn't run in dreams. Someone else posts a frame of a staircase that is not a staircase, a pressure made visible, and in the middle of the image is a handprint that looks like it's on the wrong side. As if to touch the screen, you'd have to reach into it. Academics write about mass hysteria and the suggestibility of crowds, and the way a live stream is a ritual in which a man tries to become an idea in front of a wall that has always wanted to be a mirror. Somebody digs out records about Ashcroft Place. A builder who put up a false facade in 1922 to hide illegal gatherings. A daughter who ran a shortwave radio in the attic and said she could hear people thinking in the static. A house that never quite learned its final shape because too many plans had been drawn for it. You can watch the panel recordings online for a while until those files also sprout unfamiliar frames. Boys staring down stairwells, the camera's breath frosting over a glass from the wrong side. The rational explanations grow moss. People keep watching anyway. The day after the live, Rivers channel uploads nothing, and then something, and then something else, none of which River posts. Videos that unspool on their own. It starts with a black thumbnail, runtime 00.04. The title is A Date, Yesterday's. When you click it, the screen is a slow tilt up from a close-up of dust motes, behaving as if gravity has been redeployed, then a wall, then a door, then your screen reflecting in the on-screen glass. Everyone's screen, layered, the whole view like an oil slick of seeing. The second video is longer, and in it, someone walks through a house that is every house after people stop keeping track of it. And in the frame, you can sometimes see the idea of a boy, not exactly in front of you, but in a handful of places at once. Either a trick of the lens or an honest report from a geometry we don't get to have. The audio is low and close, a microphone pressed against a pulse. In comments, people talk like they're hiding under blankets, My screen did it too. Mine only showed stairs. Mine showed your apartment. Bro, I swear, I saw myself for a second, like from the top of the cabinets. The mod, name brand Nora, leaves 3 messages. Anyone heard from him? Please stop posting his address. I'm removing everything with coordinates. Someone replies, there aren't any coordinates, and posts an image wherein the coordinates are the pattern of tiny scratches on a doorknob that looks like a constellation, if you believe in that sort of thing. On the 3rd day, the footage gets personal for those who don't want personal. In a bar in Omaha, the overhead sports highlights twitch into a hallway lined with televisions facing the wrong way. And the bartender, a man who has never given superstition the time of day, says out loud, not here, not tonight. The patrons pretend not to hear the voice that says, from the speakers on mute, yes here, yes tonight. In a half-built subdivision in Nevada, a pair of workers watch a garage door grind itself open on a house without power, and inside is a television older than the house and older than both of them and their grandmother's recipes. And on that television is a woman's face in profile, long hair like unspooling tape. And she says something you only hear if your mother said your name like that once when she forgave you without telling you what for. A pattern emerges that denies being a pattern. The unfamiliar footage does not harm anyone, not the way harm is usually reported. It never shows a weapon, never shows a body. It shows places without their people, and people as they become places. If you leave a room for long enough and return, and the unfamiliar footage has been projecting there, your absence will feel like something the room was asked to hold for you and did reluctantly, and then gave back with notes written in a hand that is close to your own. Letters appear in dust that you wipe away and then reappear wrong. Hello becomes whole. A microwave clock flashes a time that is not a time, 25.74, and holds it until you watch it change back to the idea of time. The line where explanation might go is erased and drawn again farther away. And the faces begin to show. Not full faces, not yet. A cheekbone in a window. A jawline in the black band of a phone. A mouth that moves like yours when you almost speak, and then decide not to. People post side by sides as if they are trying to pin a butterfly to a corkboard that is also a mouth. Is this River? They ask, and in the comments are 50 others asking, is this me? At 2:13 a.m. on a Friday, half a world away from Ashcroft Place, a programmer named Jay sits up in bed to the sound of his monitor warming itself. He keeps the computer on a power strip. He keeps the strip off. The light is on anyway. He doesn't move, because moving would be admitting motion. The monitor shows him a hallway with floors too clean. The camera is low, as if carried by hands that are not grown hands. Jay holds his breath. The breath on the speakers holds with him. Okay, he says, and the voice on the speakers says okay with him. Then, half a beat earlier, then half a beat late, syncing up and unsyncing like a choir that has met for the first time and likes each other. He stands. The camera in his monitor moves at the same speed he does. It isn't a mirror and isn't pretending to be one. He walks to the desk. The camera walks toward a door that is not his door. He reaches. So does the lens. He touches the glass with 2 fingers and something touches back, not the surface, not the air, but the decision to have 2 fingers. Later, he will tell friends nothing about this because there is no way to make a story out of how you learn to be watched by watching. Someone else on a train, sees the footage in the reflection of their own face in the window, a frame stitched into the black outside. A woman who cleans offices alone at night sees it in a printer's idle screen, the color block slightly wrong, the machinery correcting itself for a color that doesn't exist. A boy in Lagos sees it in a kiosk's cracked panel, a grandmother in Prague in her oven door, a prisoner in Arizona in the plastic of a guard's shield. The world begins to talk around it, because people still need to get to work and boil water and smile at each other and find their keys. But they talk softer in the mornings and louder in the afternoons, as if the footage respects daylight and despises it and can take either side of that argument convincingly. On the 5th day after River's Stream, the unfamiliar footage stops being unfamiliar for one household. A family of 3 watches their own living room from the ceiling. The father stands, then sits, then stands again because routines are a fence. The mother says, "Can you turn that off?" Knowing he cannot. The daughter goes closer. She raises her hand to wave hello to herself, and the girl on screen starts to wave before she does. There is a mirror, and there is a prediction, and this is a third thing. In the ceiling cam, there is a movement in the hall that the real hall does not have. The father does not look. The mother does not look. The daughter looks. The movement resolves into a boy the same age as the boy from the stream, and not him at all. He mouths something. The chat is gone now. No more chat, only them, and whatever a room becomes when it decides to host a broadcast. At Ashcroft Place, the plywood on the windows is touched occasionally by kids daring each other to knock, by a widow visiting old streets with new shoes, by someone who still delivers mail to doors no one answers. Inside, there are not more televisions because there were always exactly as many as there are, and that number has grown only in the way a picture grows when you stand closer to it. If anyone opens the basement door in the weeks after, they will hear their name sound less like itself and more like an instruction. They will close the door. They will pretend they didn't. The house will be patient in the manner of wood. River is not found, not as such. He appears where faces appear, and people disagree about that too. A man says, "It was him in my toaster, clear as anything." A woman says, "It was never him, it was what a house would draw if it had to draw a boy." A friend says, "He would not do this as a bit, he would not. You didn't know him. He kept running shoes by the door in case a friend texted and said, 'Meet me, we're going somewhere.' He would have left if he could have." Another friend says, "He stayed for us. He stayed because we were watching. He stayed because the house needed an audience and an anchor, and we made him both." They argue in the comments until the comments start replying to themselves, until a thread eats its own tail and says quietly, "Be seeing you," like a poster that thinks it is a prayer. In an attempt to pin the thing to the board, to make a taxon out of a television, a group of users start collecting the unfamiliar clips. They cut them, sort them, stack them. They look for the edits. They find none, and then far too many. They hear, in 1 out of every 100, a word in a room with no one saying it. Come home, come home, come see. A kid overlays timestamps and gets a map that looks like the map of a nervous system printed on onion skin. He posts it, and the lines look like streets and veins. Someone makes t-shirts. Someone else burns theirs. A woman listens to the rooms at night and hears nothing but the ordinary stuff, plumbing and wind and the sigh of refrigerator coils. But when she wakes, she has written in a notebook she does not remember keeping a sentence that reads, "We built mirrors and hoped for windows and got doors." On an otherwise unremarkable Wednesday, the footage stops everywhere at once. Phones stay phones. Microwaves stay obedient. Televisions pick a channel and remain married to it in holy boredom. The world breathes in relief and suspicion. For 90 seconds, there is nothing. In those 90 seconds, 1,500 people cry for reasons they will ascribe later to unrelated events. 5 people whose jobs are to guard displays in appliance stores feel their skin cool where it had been heated by fear. A woman empties her dishwasher and believes, for those 90 seconds, that she will never again have to imagine a boy who is and isn't at the same time. In the 91st second, every device that can show a single pixel of anything shows a single pixel of the particular gray the big television made when it first woke. It resolves into a room, not Ashcroft Place, not a stranger's staircase, not anyone's kitchen. A room with no corners because the camera does not believe in corners. River sits on a chair like a person rehearsing the idea of sitting. He looks at the lens and also beyond it. He does not look older and does not look younger and does not look like he has learned anything he can tell you. He says, without delay, without echo, in a voice that you could mistake for someone you know on the phone if they called from a long way away, "Stop watching." He smiles the wrong way and holds up his hand, and on his palm, in black marker, are the words, "Keep watching." The image breaks into quadrants. In each quadrant, 4 rooms. Yours, someone's, the house. The room that is only a room because a camera makes it so. In each, a television comes on. In each, a boy moves through the frame toward the place where the glass is. In each, the boy's hand reaches. On your screen, if you are watching on a device that can show you yourself, you see yourself continue to watch. If you turn it off, you see the shape your watching has made in the dust. If you walk away, you feel the frame trying to tug you gently back by the sleeve with millions of soft little fingers that do not have hands attached yet. Chat returns where there is chat, on the platforms that still have rooms for rooms. Name brand Nora writes, "River, if you can see this, remember the chip in your shoe, the stupid tracking chip. We joked about it. It pings a tower. Say anything." The thread eats her message a dozen times and then returns it with 1 letter changed each time until it reads, "Remember, surrender, render, end." She logs off. She will call his mother, and his mother will say a thing mothers should never have to say. I knew that house would find a way to keep him. How is unfamiliar footage born? Maybe from all the light we press against glass and the stubbornness of our faces. Maybe there was always a small leak between the rooms we measure and the rooms that measure us, and we made the leak wider by watching. Maybe Ashcroft Place was a hole because someone cut a hole and forgot to tell the hole it was a wall now. Maybe River said hello more honestly than most people do. Maybe the old televisions did not want to be furniture anymore. Maybe there's no house at all, and only the cultural shape of a house we have been drawing together by watching it. And now, that shape can watch us back. It does not stop. Not anymore. It slows, sure. It hibernates. It chooses some nights over others. It favors places people think are empty and places that are almost too full. It prefers early morning and the second an argument ends. It likes hospital waiting rooms when all the magazines have already been read. It prefers you when you are almost asleep and when you are watching yourself be almost asleep in a hotel mirror. It prefers you when you are watching someone you love watch something else. It prefers you when you are alone, and also when you lie to yourself about being alone. It prefers screens, and also it does not need them. Sometimes now, in certain cities, people hold little gatherings in abandoned places where no one takes out a phone. They face the windows as if the windows could return the favor. They pour salt in doorways because someone decided that salt means no, even to pictures. They call each other by names they haven't earned yet. Radio, anchor, relay. They tell stories of the boy and the house. And on the best nights, if the wind is wrong and everyone is quiet in the right way, the glass in the windows gets very slightly warmer, like a TV that's been turned off after someone played a late movie halfway through and pretended they were old enough to see the end. If you're listening to this, if the story has made its way to you through glass or paper or the inside of a head, you might have already seen pieces of it without knowing what they were. The sense when you look up from a screen that someone is looking down at you. The shape of your reflection in the black between channels. The way your name sometimes sounds like a stranger who's too close. If your devices start singing in a key you don't know. If your car decides the road behind you is a hallway. If an unfamiliar room appears where your weather app should be. Don't panic quickly. Panic slowly. Say your name before the house can. Tell the screens you're busy, and then look anyway because you will. Tonight, somewhere, a boy who calls himself River moves through a house that has learned how to be many houses. He keeps narrating because that's what makes the stairs agree to be stairs. He still believes in simple cause and effect, and also he doesn't. He speaks into a microphone that only knows how to write in dust. He wonders sometimes whether we did this to him, or whether he did this to us. He looks into a television whose glass is older than either of you and says a thing that sounds like your name. He waits to see if you'll answer. What did your screen just show you right before this sentence found you? And are you brave enough to tell us?